Ethan Calder had always felt like he was standing slightly apart from the world. The walls of the small colony on Nova Prime were familiar to him, yet he moved through them like a ghost, recognized, but never truly seen. Every morning, he would walk Lila to the colony school, his little daughter skipping ahead with a bright backpack swinging from her shoulders. She was energetic, fearless, and endlessly curious, everything Ethan admired and secretly envied. The colony itself was a bustling human settlement on a planet far from Earth. Towering metal structures jutted into the pale orange sky, connected by translucent walkways that shimmered in the morning light. Automated drones buzzed overhead, carrying packages or repairing the colony's energy grids. The air smelled faintly metallic, mixed with the crisp scent of engineered gardens that gave the settlers a touch of home. Despite its advanced technology, Nova Prime had a way of amplifying social pressures. Everyone seemed to belong to someone or something. Engineer teams, social circles, even unofficial families that banded together to survive the hardships of living on a distant world. And Ethan felt he belonged to no one. At the colony's central plaza, children laughed and ran around in small groups. Leela ran to meet a few classmates, waving at Ethan without noticing the subtle sneers from the others. Ethan's stomach tightened. He had grown used to it, the way people whispered when he passed, the way he was left out of casual conversations. Some called it awkwardness. He called it caution. He trusted easily but rarely found people he could rely on. "Don't worry about them, Dad," Lila called, her small hand waving as she ran ahead. "I'll meet you for lunch." Ethan smiled, but the heaviness in his chest remained. He watched his daughter go, her laughter bouncing off the steel walls. He wanted to tell her that sometimes the world wasn't fair, that people judged too quickly. But he couldn't. She deserved her joy. Ethan worked as a mechanical engineer in one of the colony's main power facilities. The job was demanding but simple. Keep the systems running, repair machines, and solve problems as they arose. To some, it was a thankless position. To Ethan, it was a life-saving anchor, a place where he could be needed, a place where numbers and circuits didn't judge him. One evening, after a long shift, Ethan returned home to his small apartment. It was modest, barely enough space for two, but he had made it cozy for Lila. Books lined the shelves, some floating thanks to anti-gravity tech, while small plants in transparent containers glowed faintly with bioluminescence. He set Lila's dinner on the table and watched her eat, her small hands grasping the spoon with practiced precision. "You look tired, Dad," Lila said between bites. "Did you have a hard day?" Ethan nodded, forcing a smile. "The usual, but I fixed the main turbine before it could break completely." "Wow! You're a hero," Lila exclaimed. She always made him feel like a hero, even on his worst days. After dinner, he tucked Lila into bed. She chattered about school, friends, and a mysterious invitation she had seen in the colony bulletin. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "What invitation?" he asked. Lila held up a shiny envelope, golden with embossed letters, to Mr. Ethan Calder. "You are invited to an exclusive gathering in orbit above Nova Prime." Ethan frowned. "I don't know anyone who would send something like this." "Are you sure it's real?" "I think so. Everyone's talking about it," Lila said. "They say it's hosted by a billionaire named Aurora Vera. She only invites certain people. Like, really important people." Ethan's stomach twisted. Important? He had never felt important. He had spent his life fixing machines, teaching his daughter, and quietly watching the world pass him by. He was a single father, not a billionaire, not a diplomat, not someone who could mingle with the galaxy's elite. But Lila's eyes sparkled with excitement, and for her, he couldn't say no. "All right," he said slowly. "We'll see what this is about." The days leading up to the gathering were filled with a strange mixture of anticipation and anxiety. Ethan tried to imagine what he would wear, how he would speak, and whether he would even be able to fit in. He scoured the colony's data archives, learning what he could about Aurora Vera. She was legendary, a mysterious figure who had built an interstellar network of colonies and industries. She was known for her extravagant gatherings and for spotting talent that others overlooked. Still, the thought of entering her world made Ethan uneasy. The colony had already treated him as an outsider. What if the wider galaxy was even worse? The day of the gathering arrived. Ethan and Lila boarded the shuttle that would take them into orbit. Through the window, Nova Prime shrank beneath them. A mix of orange deserts and glittering structures. Ethan felt a nervous tightening in his chest. The space station was unlike anything he had imagined. A massive structure floated elegantly above the planet, its surface reflecting the light of the twin suns. Docking bays opened as shuttles arrived, and Ethan felt the weight of his own insignificance. The station seemed designed to impress, to make visitors aware of the power and wealth that resided within. As they stepped into the grand atrium, Ethan's unease grew. Guests of every imaginable kind mingled, humans in shimmering attire, alien dignitaries with intricate markings, and even sentient AI holograms that floated in elegant patterns. Conversations buzzed with excitement, strategy, and laughter that made Ethan feel painfully ordinary. Lila, on the other hand, was in awe. Her eyes widened at every holographic display and alien creature. She clutched Ethan's hand and whispered, "This is amazing, Dad." Ethan forced a smile, trying to calm his nerves. He drifted through the crowd, unnoticed, invisible as ever. And then, he felt a presence, a quiet, commanding energy that made the bustling atrium fade around him. She was Aurora Vera. Aurora approached without ceremony, her presence graceful and unassuming despite the attention she naturally drew. Her eyes met Ethan's, and for the first time, he felt seen not for his job, his mistakes, or his awkwardness, but for something deeper, something unspoken. "You must be Ethan Calder," she said softly, almost a whisper. Her voice had a melodic quality that made the noise of the crowd fade. Yes, I am," Ethan replied, unsure what to say. "You're the only one who fits," she whispered, leaning slightly closer. Her words were like a key turning in a lock inside Ethan, unlocking a feeling he had long forgotten, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, he belonged somewhere. Ethan blinked, searching her face for a hint of jest. But she simply smiled. Without another word, she stepped back into the crowd, leaving him stunned. Lila tugged at his hand. "Dad, did you see her? She's amazing." Ethan nodded, still processing the encounter. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel invisible. The invitation, the station, the gathering, it all suddenly made sense. Perhaps this was a place where he could be more than just an outsider. Perhaps this was the beginning of something entirely new. As they moved deeper into the atrium, Ethan kept his eyes open, trying to stay alert. He didn't know what lay ahead, what challenges the galaxy had in store, or why Aurora Vera had singled him out. But one thing was certain. His life, and Lila's, was about to change forever. And somewhere deep inside, Ethan felt a spark he hadn't felt in years, a spark of hope, of purpose, and of belonging. The shuttle doors opened, and Ethan Calder stepped cautiously into the grand atrium of Aurora Vera's station. The sheer scale of it made him pause. Towering glass walls curved upward, displaying the swirling clouds of Nova Prime below. Holographic gardens floated in midair, glowing softly, while streams of light danced along the floor, guiding guests to various chambers. The air smelled faintly of ozone and flowers, a strange combination that made him feel both nervous and oddly welcome. Lila squeezed his hand, her eyes wide. "Dad, look at that." She pointed to a floating display of shimmering birds that circled a holographic tree. It's alive." Ethan managed a small smile. Lila's excitement was infectious, and for the first time in years, he felt like he could leave his worries behind, even if just for a moment. But the unease lingered. This was a world of the elite, of billionaires, diplomats, and geniuses. What place did a single engineer from a small colony have here? As they moved further inside, the crowd of guests became clearer. Humans in elegant attire mingled with alien delegates whose skin shimmered in colors Ethan didn't recognize. Some wore headgear that seemed to pulse with data streams. Others floated slightly above the floor, supported by anti-gravity devices. Holographic AI beings drifted gracefully among the guests, interacting in ways Ethan could barely understand. He felt invisible again, blending into the background as whispers passed by. "Who invited him?" one voice murmured. Another chuckled softly. "A colony engineer? Really?" Ethan tightened his grip on Lila's hand. She noticed and gave him a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, Dad. We're here together." He nodded, taking a deep breath. The first few minutes were awkward. Every interaction felt forced. Every conversation tinged with subtle judgment. Yet, amid the sea of elegance and alien grace, there was one presence that calmed him, a quiet authority that seemed to radiate from Aurora Vera herself. Aurora was talking to a group of human and alien leaders when she noticed Ethan standing at the edge of the crowd. Her eyes met his, and a small, almost imperceptible smile crossed her lips. She excused herself and approached him gracefully, her movements calm yet commanding. "You must be Ethan Calder," she said softly, her voice almost blending with the ambient music of the atrium. "I've been expecting you." Ethan felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. I'm honored, Miss Vera," he stammered. "You didn't expect an invitation?" she finished for him. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with curiosity. "That is exactly why you're here. Most people expect attention because they seek it. You do not. You work, you care, and you solve problems. That is rare." Ethan blinked. Rare? He had never been called rare in his life. Usually, he felt unnoticed. A small part of a larger machine. Aurora's words stirred something unfamiliar but thrilling. Before he could respond, a soft chime echoed through the atrium. Holographic displays shifted, showing a map of the station. "The tour will begin shortly," a calm AI voice announced. Guests were moving toward the central chamber, where Aurora's main presentation would take place. Lila tugged at Ethan's sleeve. "Can we go see it, Dad? Please?" Ethan hesitated for only a moment. "All right, let's go." As they walked, they passed tables with unusual delicacies. Ethan saw dishes that seemed to float above plates, glowing faintly. He saw fruits with colors he had never imagined, and drinks that shimmered like liquid starlight. Lila's curiosity was boundless, and Ethan smiled at her joy. For now, at least, the world felt less intimidating. The central chamber was massive. A transparent floor allowed them to see Nova Prime's swirling clouds below. Light streamed from multiple angles, casting patterns across the walls. At the far end stood Aurora, gesturing toward a complex display of holographic constellations, each representing a colony in her interstellar network. "Welcome," she said, her voice carrying easily to everyone in the room. "You are here because each of you has something unique. Something that the galaxy needs." Ethan felt the words brush against him like a current. Needs? Was he included in this? He glanced at Lila, who was staring in awe at the holographic colonies. Aurora continued, moving closer to Ethan and lowering her voice. "I invited you here because you see the world differently. You notice details others ignore. You understand people and machines in ways that are rare, even precious." Ethan's heart beat faster. Could she be speaking about him? Could someone like him, an ordinary engineer from a small colony, truly be considered valuable here? The presentation shifted to challenges faced by Aurora's colonies. She showed maps of distant planets, energy grids, and social systems. Some colonies were thriving. Others were struggling under harsh conditions. The complexity of managing so many worlds seemed impossible. Yet Aurora explained it with calm precision. "This network," she said, "requires more than technology. It requires humans who can adapt, who can empathize, and who can think beyond what is immediately visible. That is why you are here, Ethan Calder. That is why you were chosen." Ethan swallowed hard. Chosen? He had spent years feeling invisible. Yet here he was, standing before a woman who commanded an empire, being told that he had been chosen for something important. After the presentation, Aurora invited guests to smaller discussion groups. Ethan hesitated, unsure if he belonged. But Lila's hand in his was a constant reassurance. They joined a group of engineers, diplomats, and a few aliens who observed them curiously. A debate began about colony energy efficiency. Complex algorithms, renewable resources, and interstellar logistics were discussed. Ethan listened carefully, absorbing details. Then, when a critical problem arose, a potential energy grid failure, he spoke up. His suggestion was simple, yet elegant, combining a human-centric approach with technical precision. The group fell silent for a moment, processing his idea. Then, nods of approval and murmurs of surprise followed. Ethan felt a warmth spread across his chest. He had contributed. He had added value. For the first time in a long while, he felt the pride of being needed in a place that truly mattered. Lila watched him with admiration. "See, Dad? You fit," she whispered. Ethan smiled at her, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. For the first time, he felt that he could belong in a world larger than Nova Prime, larger than the colony, larger than the small life he had always known. As the evening progressed, Aurora returned to Ethan's side. "You handled yourself well," she said. "Not everyone can remain calm under scrutiny. Yet you did. You see, this gathering is more than a social event. It is a test to find humans who can rise when others falter." Ethan blinked. "A test?" "Yes," she said. Her eyes gleamed with a mix of warmth and seriousness. "The galaxy has challenges that cannot be solved by technology alone. Empathy, courage, creativity. These are just as vital. And you have all of them. Though you may not realize it yet." The words struck him deeply. He had spent years doubting himself, feeling like an outsider, watching the world move past him. Yet here, in this magnificent place, he was being told that he belonged. The evening concluded with a private moment for Aurora's chosen few. She handed Ethan a small data crystal. "Keep this," she said. "It contains information you may need. But remember, what truly matters is your ability to think, adapt, and act. You are not here because of wealth, status, or fame. You are here because of who you are." Ethan held the crystal tightly, feeling the weight of responsibility and possibility in his hands. Lila leaned against him, tired but happy. "Dad, this is amazing." "I'm so proud of you." Ethan smiled down at her. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging not only for himself, but for the future he could build with Lila. The galaxy seemed vast and intimidating, but for the first time in his life, it felt like a place where they could belong, where they could thrive. As they left the chamber, Ethan glanced back at Aurora. She stood calmly, watching the guests with that quiet intensity that had first drawn him in. He felt a mixture of awe and gratitude. Somehow, this woman, this gathering, had seen something in him that no one else ever had. And deep inside, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was larger, stranger, and more challenging than anything he had known. But for the first time, he believed he could rise to meet it. And somewhere, in the background of his mind, Aurora's words echoed softly. "You're the only one who fits." Ethan Calder woke before sunrise on the space station, his thoughts still buzzing from the previous evening. Lila was already awake, her small hands tracing the glowing patterns of the floating plants in their guest quarters. "Dad, can we explore more today?" she asked, her eyes sparkling. Ethan smiled, trying to mask the unease in his stomach. Today, he had a feeling things would be different. Aurora Veyra's invitation was more than a social call. Something about her words, "You're the only one who fits," lingered in his mind like a puzzle waiting to be solved. They joined the morning assembly in the station's central command chamber. The room was vast, with a transparent floor offering a dizzying view of Nova Prime below. Holographic maps of the galaxy shimmered in the center, showing colonies, trade routes, and energy networks. Guests were gathered around in discussion groups, some taking notes, others speaking in unfamiliar languages that the AI translators instantly rendered into words Ethan could understand. Aurora entered with her usual calm authority. "Today," she began, "we will face a scenario that may become reality. I call it the wormhole event." Her voice was clear, measured, yet carried a weight that silenced the murmuring crowd. The holographic display shifted, revealing a swirling, unstable wormhole near a critical colony. Aurora explained that the wormhole was unpredictable and growing. Its gravitational fluctuations could destroy the colony's energy grid, potentially cutting off life support for thousands of inhabitants. The problem was complex, requiring collaboration between engineers, scientists, diplomats, and AI systems. Ethan felt a jolt of fear. He had never faced anything like this. On Nova Prime, the worst he had handled were turbine failures and minor electrical outages. A collapsing wormhole, threatening multiple colonies? This was an entirely different scale. A senior engineer from another colony spoke first, outlining a technical solution involving complex calculations and high-risk interventions. Alien representatives proposed energy shields and gravitational stabilizers. Everyone contributed, yet the more the discussion progressed, the more Ethan realized something crucial. The solutions were brilliant on paper, but disconnected from the practical reality of human and colony limitations. He raised his hand hesitantly. Aurora nodded for him to speak. "The problem isn't only the wormhole," Ethan said slowly. "It's how we coordinate response teams across different colonies while keeping human safety as a priority. We can build a layered system. AI can monitor the wormhole and alert teams. But humans need a simplified interface to make quick decisions. And we should prioritize stabilizing the most vulnerable points first, then extend support outward." The room fell silent for a moment. Ethan's voice wasn't loud or commanding, but it carried clarity and logic. Aurora's eyes gleamed. One of the alien delegates, a tall figure with shimmering silver skin, inclined its head. "Interesting. A practical approach. Humans often overcomplicate theoretical models. This is refreshing." "Encouraged," Ethan continued. "We can divide tasks based on colony capabilities. Some teams focus on structural reinforcements, others on energy redistribution, and AI can handle calculations and real-time monitoring. Communication channels must be streamlined to avoid confusion during the crisis." Slowly, murmurs of agreement spread. The initial panic among the elite guests began to fade. Ethan could feel the shift. He was no longer invisible. His practical, human-centric perspective added something the others had missed. Aurora stepped closer, whispering, "Exactly. You see the real problem. Most people focus on brilliance. You focus on results." Ethan nodded, feeling a strange mix of pride and anxiety. This was a test unlike anything he had ever imagined. Failure could be catastrophic. Success could change not only the immediate situation but also how he viewed himself. Over the next several hours, Ethan worked alongside alien engineers, human scientists, and AI coordinators. The challenges were constant. The wormhole's fluctuations became increasingly erratic, threatening to sever key power lines feeding multiple colonies. Data streams flooded monitors with thousands of alerts per minute. It was overwhelming, yet Ethan remained steady. He instructed teams clearly, dividing tasks into manageable sections. He simplified complex calculations into actionable steps that human operators could execute quickly. He anticipated failures before they happened, rerouting resources and double-checking critical systems. Lila watched from a safe observation area, her small face filled with awe. "Dad, you're amazing," she whispered to herself. She didn't fully understand the technical details, but she could see her father in action. Calm, capable, decisive. Despite their efforts, complications arose. One of the AI units misread a gravitational fluctuation, sending a warning too late. Ethan immediately identified the error, and redirected human operators to manually stabilize the system. Sweat dripped from his forehead, but his hands were steady. Step by step, the disaster was managed. Hours passed like minutes. Ethan's mind raced, constantly analyzing, adjusting, coordinating. He felt exhaustion creeping in. Yet he could not stop. Lives depended on his focus. Each decision, each instruction mattered. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the wormhole stabilized, alerts ceased, and the holographic map shifted to show normal energy flows returning to all colonies. The room erupted in applause, murmurs of astonishment spreading among the guests. Aurora approached Ethan, her face calm but her eyes shining with pride. "You did it," she said softly. "You didn't just survive the challenge, you led. You see solutions where others see chaos. That is rare. That is valuable. That is why you were chosen." Ethan's chest tightened with emotion. He had spent years feeling invisible, believing that his life and skills were ordinary. Yet here, in a situation that tested intellect, courage, and empathy, he had made a difference. Lila ran to him, hugging his leg. "Dad, you saved them. You're a hero." Ethan knelt, hugging her tightly. "We did it together, Lila. We stayed calm. We thought carefully. And we helped." Her small voice, full of admiration, made him realize that this moment was not just about proving himself to others. It was about showing his daughter the value of courage, intelligence, and compassion. Aurora observed quietly from a distance. Later, she invited Ethan into a private chamber. "Not everyone can handle such pressure," she said. "Most people crumble when faced with unpredictable chaos. But you rise. You think. You act. And you consider others in the process. That combination is rare in the galaxy. Most humans excel in one area or another, but rarely all at once." Ethan nodded, still catching his breath. I've always tried to help. I've never felt like it mattered outside the colony." Aurora smiled faintly. "It does. And not just today. The galaxy is larger, more complex than any colony. It needs people who can combine skill, empathy, and courage. You've proven that you are one of them." Ethan's mind reeled. He had spent so long doubting himself, so long feeling like an outsider. Yet here he was, standing among the galaxy's elite, having faced a crisis that could have destroyed thousands. And he had succeeded not because of luck or money, but because of who he was. As the day ended, Ethan and Lila walked back to their quarters. Lila's hand was small, but firm in his, a constant reminder of why he fought to belong. "Dad," she said softly, "I knew you could do it. You always fit, even when no one else saw it." Ethan smiled down at her. "Thank you, Lila. Today, I think I finally understand what it means to belong." They watched the gas giant below them, its swirling storms reflecting the fading light of Nova Prime's sun. The galaxy was vast, intimidating, and full of unknowns, but for the first time, Ethan felt a sense of purpose. He had proven not only to Aurora or the other guests but also to himself that he had value, that he belonged. And in the quiet of the observation deck, as he held Lila close, he knew that this challenge was only the beginning. The galaxy would test him again, in ways he could not yet imagine. But for the first time, he was ready. He was no longer an outsider. He was part of something bigger, a network of colonies, of people, of ideas where his skills, his heart, and his courage mattered. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Aurora's words echoed, steady and true. "You're the only one who fits." For the first time, Ethan believed it. Ethan Calder woke to a soft hum of the space station, the twin suns of Nova Prime casting warm light through the wide observation windows. Leela was already awake, her small figure curled in a floating pod that glimmered gently. She had been chattering to herself about the wonders she had seen yesterday. "Dad, today's going to be even better. I can feel it." "Oh," Ethan smiled faintly, but a knot of tension gripped his chest. He had felt welcome yesterday, but deep down, he knew that this world was testing him. Aurora Vera's words, "You're the only one who fits," were not idle praise. They were a challenge. And Ethan had a creeping suspicion that the true test was yet to come. By mid-morning, Ethan and Lila joined the other guests in the central command chamber. The room was massive, its transparent floors showing swirling clouds and storms on Nova Prime below. Holographic maps projected above a central dais, highlighting colonies, trade routes, and energy networks. The chamber was alive with chatter, calculations, and the quiet hum of artificial intelligence systems coordinating the station. Aurora entered without ceremony, her presence commanding yet calm. The room fell silent instantly. "Welcome," she said, her voice measured and soft, carrying across the vast chamber. "Today, you will face a scenario that may very well occur in reality. I call it the wormhole event." The holographic displays shifted, showing a swirling wormhole forming near a critical colony. Its gravitational fluctuations threatened the stability of the planet's energy grids, potentially endangering thousands of lives. The situation was complex, unpredictable, and dangerous. Ethan's stomach churned. He had handled turbines and power grids back on Nova Prime. But this was another level entirely. A wormhole? Threatening colonies? He was a simple engineer, not a galactic strategist. The first voices spoke other engineers, alien delegates, and AI coordinators. They proposed theoretical solutions: energy shields, gravitational dampeners, complex algorithmic adjustments. Ethan listened, noticing a common flaw. The solutions were brilliant on paper, but lacked practicality for real-time human operation. Tentatively, he raised his hand. Aurora acknowledged him with a small nod. "I believe there's another approach," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his stomach. "We need to focus on coordination first. AI can monitor the wormhole and provide alerts, but humans must be able to make rapid decisions. If we divide the response into manageable sections, prioritize the most vulnerable colonies, and simplify communication channels, we can prevent chaos while stabilizing the energy grids." The room went silent. Ethan's suggestion was simple yet elegant. The alien representative next to him, its skin shimmering silver, inclined its head. "A practical approach. Humans often overcomplicate theoretical models. This works." Encouraged, Ethan continued, "We can create layers. One team reinforces infrastructure, another manages energy redistribution, and AI coordinates calculations. Quick feedback loops and clear responsibilities will keep human operators effective even under stress." Aurora's eyes sparkled, her faint smile showing approval. "Exactly. You see beyond theory to what actually works. That is the difference between brilliance and effective action." Ethan felt a surge of confidence. For the first time, he realized that his long years of cautious problem-solving, the habit of seeing practical details others missed, were not weaknesses, they were his strengths. Over the next several hours, chaos descended on the chamber. Simulated alerts poured in, as the wormhole became increasingly unstable. Holographic displays flickered, showing predicted gravitational surges that could tear the colony's energy grids apart. The pressure was immense, but Ethan stayed calm. Step by step, he assigned tasks, simplified complex instructions, and kept human operators focused. One of the AI systems misread a gravitational surge, sending a warning too late. Ethan identified the error immediately. "Override the calculation manually," he instructed a nearby technician. "Focus on the northern energy node. Divert power here, stabilize there." Sweat dripped from his forehead, but he did not falter. The other engineers and alien delegates followed his directions, realizing that his approach was both practical and effective. Slowly, the simulated wormhole stabilized, and the energy flows returned to normal across the colonies. The room erupted in quiet applause. Murmurs of astonishment spread among the guests. A few of the elite turned to Ethan with newfound respect. Aurora, standing slightly apart, watched him with that calm intensity that had first drawn him in. She stepped forward, her voice low, but audible to Ethan. You did not just manage the situation, you led it. Most people panic under pressure. Most people crumble when faced with unpredictable events. You rose. Ethan's chest tightened. He had always felt invisible. A simple engineer from a small colony. But here, in front of the galaxy's finest minds, he had made a difference. And it was not luck, it was his method, his thought process, and his humanity. Lila ran to him, her small face radiant with pride. Dad, you saved them. You were amazing. He crouched to hug her, feeling her tiny arms wrap around him. We did it together, Lila. We stayed calm, thought carefully, and worked as a team. That's what mattered. Aurora approached, still observing quietly. Not everyone can maintain composure when faced with such unpredictability, she said. You have proven that you can think clearly, act decisively, and care about others while doing so. That is rare in the galaxy. Most humans excel in one area, but rarely all three. Any 2, 3, 5. Ethan swallowed hard. I never thought my skills mattered beyond my colony, he admitted. I've always tried to help, but I never imagined this level of responsibility. Aurora's expression softened. And yet, you have risen to the challenge. The galaxy needs people like you, practical, empathetic, courageous, people who can see solutions where others only see chaos. Today, you have proven that you belong here. Ethan felt a wave of relief and pride. For years, he had questioned his place in the world. He had felt like an outsider, a man working tirelessly in isolation, unnoticed and underestimated. Now, he had not only contributed, but had been recognized by the one person whose judgment mattered most in this place. Aurora Veira. The rest of the day passed in a blur of discussions, debriefings, and small victories. Ethan worked with teams from multiple colonies, refining strategies and helping implement solutions. Every step reinforced his confidence. For the first time, he realized that his perceived weaknesses, his caution, his tendency to observe carefully before acting, were exactly what made him valuable. By evening, the station's atrium glowed with the light of distant stars and the soft hum of machinery. Ethan and Lila walked to the observation deck, taking a quiet moment to look out over Nova Prime. The planet stretched below them, storms swirling like living brushstrokes across the orange surface. Dad, Lila said softly, I knew you could do it. You always fit, even when nobody else saw it. Ethan smiled, hugging her close. Thank you, Lila. Today, I think I finally understand what it means to belong. As he watched the gas giant looming in the distance, Ethan felt a spark of purpose ignite within him. The galaxy was vast, complex, and often frightening. But he had faced a trial and emerged not only capable but respected. He was no longer an outsider. He was part of something greater, a network of colonies, of people, and of ideas where his skills, his heart, and his courage could make a real difference. Aurora's words echoed in his mind, "You're the only one who fits." And for the first time, Ethan truly believed it. He knew that this was only the beginning. Greater challenges awaited, and he would face them head-on. For himself, for Lila, and for the countless lives that depended on his actions. The galaxy had tested him, and he had risen. Ethan Calder was no longer just a single father from a small colony. He was a leader, a problem solver, and a human whose qualities mattered in a universe far larger than he had ever imagined. And as the stars twinkled beyond the observation deck, he felt a deep sense of belonging, a feeling that he had not known for decades. The challenge had passed, but the journey had only just begun. The aftermath of the wormhole event still buzzed through Aurora Veira's space station. Guests whispered in corridors, their faces a mix of awe and newfound respect. Some of the galaxy's most brilliant minds had witnessed an engineer from a small colony solve a problem that threatened thousands of lives. And yet, despite the praise swirling around him, Ethan Calder felt a strange mix of pride and disbelief. He walked beside Lila toward the observation deck. letting her small hand guide him. The twin suns of Nova Prime glimmered below, their light dancing across the transparent floors. Lila's excitement was contagious. "Dad, everyone is talking about you. Did you hear what the alien delegates said? They think you're amazing." Ethan shook his head, smiling faintly. "I didn't do anything special. I just did what needed to be done." "See?" But Lila was insistent. "Dad, it's not just doing what's needed. You thought of things no one else could see. You helped them all work together. You fit here." Just like Aurora said, her words settled deep in Ethan's chest. They reminded him of the invitation itself, Aurora's quiet whisper that had echoed in his mind. "You're the only one who fits." He had questioned it, doubted it. But now, seeing the way the galaxy had responded to his actions, he began to understand. Aurora had requested a private meeting with him. The corridor leading to her office was lined with softly glowing panels, showing stars, colonies, and flowing data streams. Ethan walked beside Lila, feeling the weight of anticipation press on him. He had seen Aurora once before, but never like this, not alone, not in a room where the full force of her presence would focus entirely on him. The door opened, and Ethan stepped inside. Aurora's office was minimalist, elegant, and filled with soft light. The view beyond her window looked out on a spiral galaxy, the stars glittering like scattered diamonds. She gestured for him to sit. "Ethan," she began, her voice calm but firm. "Today you proved yourself in a way that few ever can. You handled the wormhole event with skill, clarity, and courage. You were not only effective, but you also led others in a way that brought out their best." Ethan swallowed, feeling a lump in his throat. I just tried to help," he said softly. Aurora shook her head. "It is more than that. Many try to help. Many even succeed occasionally. But you see systems and people as one. You combine human empathy with technical skill. That is why you are the only one who fits in this place." Ethan's mind raced. He had spent years believing he was ordinary, perhaps even invisible, yet here he was, being recognized by someone who had literally built interstellar networks, someone whose judgment shaped the galaxy. The idea that he had a role, an important role, made his chest swell with something he had almost forgotten: pride. Aurora handed him a small, glowing data crystal. "This contains strategic information about our colonies, their energy grids, and potential vulnerabilities. Study it carefully. It is not just a tool, it is a test. The galaxy will continue to present challenges, and your skills will be needed." Ethan held the crystal, feeling its warmth and the weight of responsibility it represented. I won't let you down," he said earnestly. Aurora nodded, her expression softening. "I don't expect you to be perfect. I expect you to think, to act, and to care. That is enough. That is what makes you invaluable." Later, as they left her office, Lila's hand in his, Ethan felt a quiet confidence growing within him. This was more than recognition. It was a message. His years of dedication, his caution, his empathy, and his practical thinking, all the qualities that had made him feel like an outsider, were exactly what the galaxy needed. Word of his role in the wormhole event spread quickly. Guests who had once ignored him now approached with questions and compliments. An alien diplomat with translucent skin bowed slightly. "Engineer Calder," the alien said, its voice translated by the AI interpreter. "Your methods are extraordinary. You bring a perspective that bridges species and systems alike." Ethan nodded politely, unsure what to say. Compliments felt strange, almost foreign. But each acknowledgement reinforced a growing truth. He had earned his place. In the following days, Aurora invited Ethan to participate in high-level planning sessions. These meetings included representatives from multiple colonies, alien races, and AI entities. Topics ranged from energy distribution and resource management to diplomatic negotiations and crisis prevention. Ethan observed, listened, and contributed where he could, offering solutions grounded in practicality and human understanding. His perspective was valued in ways he had never imagined. Where others relied solely on complex calculations or theoretical models, Ethan considered human and alien limitations, real-world contingencies, and the adaptability required for success. He realized that his ability to see the human side of technology, the interface between intellect and action, was precisely what made him unique. During one session, a debate erupted about the potential consequences of a newly discovered wormhole near another colony. High-ranking diplomats argued about strategy, some pushing for high-risk interventions. Ethan listened carefully, then suggested a phased approach. Initial monitoring and stabilization using AI coordination, paired with a rapid response team ready to act if conditions worsened. The room fell silent as everyone processed his words. Aurora's eyes met his across the table, a subtle smile playing on her lips. Slowly, one of the alien delegates nodded in agreement. Practical, balanced, human-centered. This approach is wise. Ethan felt a surge of pride. He was not just participating, he was influencing decisions that could affect entire colonies. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but he welcomed it. One evening, as he walked through the station with Lila, she noticed a group of guests whispering and glancing in their direction. "Dad," she said quietly. "Look, they're talking about you." Ethan glanced over his shoulder. It was true. He had become a topic of conversation, not as an outsider or a nobody, but as someone whose judgment and abilities mattered. It was a strange feeling, one he had never experienced in his life back on Nova Prime. Lila squeezed his hand. "See? You fit perfectly here." "I told you so," Ethan laughed softly, hugging her. "Yes, you were right. I finally see it too." The recognition went beyond words. It changed how Ethan viewed himself and how he approached every challenge. He began to take initiative, offering ideas in meetings before being asked, mentoring junior engineers, and helping to coordinate multi-colony projects. Each small success reinforced the truth Aurora had spoken. He belonged here. Aurora observed him quietly, occasionally offering guidance or subtle praise. One evening, she spoke privately. "Ethan, you must understand, this recognition is only the beginning. The galaxy will continue to test you. You will face situations that are unpredictable, dangerous, and complex, but you have proven that you can rise to the occasion. You are one of the few who truly fits the needs of our network." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of resolve he had never known. Recognition was no longer about ego or praise. It was about responsibility. About stepping into a role where his skills could make a real difference. Days turned into weeks. Ethan's confidence grew. Lila continued to explore the station with unending curiosity, and Ethan supported her, proud that she could see his potential before he even fully believed in it himself. One afternoon, as he reviewed energy grid data for multiple colonies, Aurora approached him quietly. "Ethan," she said, her voice soft but firm, "remember that fitting in is not about changing yourself to meet expectations. It is about understanding your strengths and applying them where they are needed most. You do not need to be anyone else. You only need to be you." Her words resonated deeply. Ethan had spent years trying to adapt, feeling like he never measured up. Now, he understood that his true value came from embracing who he was, combining intellect, empathy, and practical wisdom. And for the first time in his life, Ethan Calder no longer felt like an outsider. He was recognized, respected, and trusted. He was part of a galaxy that valued his unique abilities. He had found a place where he truly belonged. As he walked with Lila to the observation deck that evening, the stars stretching endlessly before them, Ethan felt a quiet certainty. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and dangers yet unseen, but he had been tested and had risen. He would continue to rise. Aurora's words echoed in his mind, steady and true. "You're the only one who fits." This time, Ethan truly understood them. He had been chosen not for wealth, fame, or title, but for his ability to think, act, and care. And in that choice, he had discovered a truth he had long sought. Belonging was not about where you came from, but about what you gave to the universe. Ethan Calder had given, and in return, the universe had recognized him. Ethan Calder stood on the observation deck of Aurora Vera's space station, the twin suns of Nova Prime casting golden light across the clouds below. Beside him, Lila bounced on her toes, pointing excitedly at the distant glimmer of another colony beyond the horizon. For years, Ethan had wandered through life feeling like an outsider, invisible and unimportant. Now, he realized that the galaxy itself had offered him a place, a purpose. Aurora's words echoed in his mind, steady and certain. "You're the only one who fits." Those words had carried him through the wormhole event, through recognition among the galaxy's elite, and into a position he had never imagined he would hold. Yet standing here, looking out at the vastness of space, Ethan understood that this was only the beginning. The announcement had come that morning. Ethan was invited to join Aurora's interstellar network as a strategic advisor, bridging the gap between human colonies, alien worlds, and AI systems. It was a position of immense responsibility, one that required intelligence, empathy, and courage, the very traits that had once made him feel like an outsider. Leela tugged at his hand. "Dad, does this mean we're going to see more stars? More planets?" Quote. Ethan smiled down at her. "Yes, Lila. We'll see more than we ever imagined. But it also means a lot of work. We'll help people, solve problems, and keep colonies safe." Her eyes widened with excitement. "That sounds amazing. I want to help too." Ethan chuckled softly. "And you will. You'll always be part of this journey, just like you were today." He remembered her admiration during the wormhole event, her pride that he had risen to the challenge. That pride now fueled him, reminding him why he had worked so hard, why he had never given up, and why he had earned this place. The first weeks in his new role were intense. Ethan worked closely with Aurora, coordinating communication networks between multiple colonies and overseeing projects that spanned entire star systems. He met with alien representatives, human governors, and AI systems capable of processing unimaginable amounts of data. Each interaction tested his patience, creativity, and empathy. Yet, he found that the very qualities that had once made him feel out of place now gave him an advantage. Where others saw complexity and confusion, Ethan saw patterns and connections. Where others relied solely on algorithms or rigid logic, he considered the human or alien elements that could make or break a plan. He quickly became indispensable, not because he commanded power, but because he understood how to make ideas work in the real world. One evening, as he analyzed a new colony's energy distribution network, Aurora appeared beside him. "You've been working non-stop," she observed, "but I trust you understand the importance of rest as well as action. Your mind and heart are your greatest tools. Don't let them burn out." Ethan nodded. "I know, Aurora. But I want to make a difference. I finally feel like I can." Aurora smiled faintly. "And you are. That feeling of belonging, of purpose, is the greatest reward. Not everyone finds it, even in a lifetime. You've been chosen not just for skill, but for your ability to embrace that responsibility fully." Ethan glanced at Lila, who had wandered over with a small floating notebook filled with sketches of planets and starships. She looked up at him, her eyes full of admiration. "Dad, I think we can do anything now. You showed me that." He knelt beside her. "Yes, Lila. Together, we can face anything. You'll help others too. You have the same spark that makes you see what's possible." Life aboard the station settled into a rhythm. Ethan balanced his work with spending time with Lila, guiding her curiosity and nurturing her love for discovery. They explored the station's laboratories, participated in inter-colony simulations, and occasionally ventured to nearby planets for assessments. Each mission reinforced his confidence and cemented his sense of belonging. One particularly challenging assignment arrived when a distant human colony reported unexplained energy fluctuations. Previous attempts to stabilize the system had failed, and the colony faced potential isolation from the main network. Aurora called Ethan to lead the intervention team. He studied the data carefully, noticing patterns others had overlooked. The problem was not a single malfunction, but a complex interaction between the colony's outdated energy systems and newly introduced AI stabilizers. Ethan devised a solution that combined precise human oversight with AI automation, ensuring both safety and efficiency. During the operation, Ethan coordinated a diverse team: humans, aliens, and AI entities. Each step required careful communication, adaptation, and trust. His leadership was quiet but effective. Where panic could have taken hold, he instilled calm and focus. Step by step, the colony's systems stabilized, and the energy network returned to normal. Aurora observed the entire operation remotely. Later, she praised him privately. "Ethan, today you proved once again that your value lies not just in knowledge, but in your ability to lead, to understand, and to unite diverse talents. That is rare in the galaxy, and that is why you were chosen." Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. For years, he had wondered if he truly mattered. Now, he realized that his combination of intelligence, empathy, and determination had made a tangible difference for thousands of lives. As weeks passed, Ethan's influence grew. Colonies he had helped stabilize began to adopt his methodologies. Blending human judgment with AI precision, he trained teams across star systems, fostering cooperation and understanding. The galaxy, once a place of uncertainty and challenge, became a landscape where his skills could thrive and make a lasting impact. At night, he often sat with Lila on the observation deck, looking at distant stars and reflecting on their journey. "Dad," Lila said one evening, "I never thought the galaxy could feel like home. But now, it does. Because we belong here with you." Ethan's heart swelled. "Yes, Lila. We belong here because we've worked hard, cared for others, and never stopped believing that we could make a difference. That's what fitting in truly means." Aurora's words, repeated in his mind, held a new resonance. "You're the only one who fits." Now, he understood them fully. Belonging was not about wealth, power, or fame. It was about recognizing one's strengths, embracing responsibility, and using those qualities to serve others. The final test of Ethan's journey came when a coordinated crisis threatened multiple colonies at once. A rogue asteroid cluster, pulled by a nearby wormhole, moved unpredictably toward the colony's outer defenses. Aurora called upon him to coordinate the response. Ethan analyzed the trajectories, coordinated interstellar teams, and devised a plan that combined rapid AI calculations with hands-on human intervention. For the first time, he worked seamlessly across species, systems, and technologies. The asteroid threat was neutralized with minimal damage, showcasing his growth from a cautious, isolated engineer to a capable interstellar leader. Afterward, Aurora formally acknowledged his contributions in front of the network's council. "Ethan Calder," she said, her voice carrying across the chamber, "has demonstrated extraordinary skill, empathy, and leadership. He is a model for what humanity and any intelligent species can offer the galaxy. His actions remind us that true strength lies not only in technology, but in the heart and mind of those who wield it responsibly." Ethan felt a rush of emotion. Recognition had always been rare in his life. But this acknowledgement was different. It was not about ego or personal gain, it was about responsibility, belonging, and the ability to make a lasting impact. As the council adjourned, Lila ran to him, hugging his leg. "Dad, you did it. You really belong here." Ethan hugged her tightly. "Yes, Lila, and so do you. This galaxy, these colonies, they are our home, and we will continue to make them better. Together." Standing on the observation deck later, Ethan gazed at the stars stretching into infinity. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown challenges, but he no longer feared them. He had found his place, his purpose, and his family. He was no longer an outsider. Aurora's words echoed softly in his mind one last time. "You're the only one who fits." And now, he truly believed them. Ethan Calder, once a single father unsure of his place, had embraced his destiny. He was a leader, a problem solver, and a human whose courage, intelligence, and empathy mattered on a galactic scale. He had risen to challenges, earned recognition, and discovered a horizon full of possibilities. And as Lila pointed excitedly toward the next glowing colony in the distance, Ethan smiled. Together, they would continue to explore, to solve, and to belong in a universe that had finally recognized their worth. The galaxy was no longer intimidating, it was home.